Welcome to Facts TV News, where everything is true.
Jamaica News in Review. GLC finds Isaac Buchanan guilty of professional misconduct relating to 2025's cartel comments. The Disciplinary Committee of the General Legal Counsel GLC has found Attorney-at-Law Isaac Buchanan guilty of professional misconduct. The Director of Public Prosecutions, Paula Llewellyn, had brought the matter before the GLC after comments made by Isaac Buchanan in November 2020 in relation to her office's handling of the case involving imprisoned detainer Vibes cartel. Attorney-at-Law Andre Earl represented the office of the DPP at the GLC hearing.
The ruling, which is contained in a decision which they say is 33 pages, which has not yet been read by me, says that based on what it is that the chairman said today, that the panel found Mr. Buchanan guilty of breaching Canon 1B of the Canon of Legal and Professional Ethics for the profession. Canon 1B says, an attorney shall at all times maintain the honor and dignity of the profession and shall abstain from behavior which may tend to discredit the profession of which he is a member.
Police Commissioner orders probe after Rodolph Shaw escape lockup. Police Commissioner Major General Anthony Anderson has ordered an immediate probe into the circumstances surrounding the escape of accused murderer Rodolph Boxer Shaw from the Kingston Central Police lockup. The Inspectorate and Professional Standard Oversight Bureau is leading the investigation. The police say preliminary investigations have revealed that Mr. Shaw was discovered missing from his cell about 6:30 Thursday morning during inspections. It was discovered that an air vent leading to his cell has been cut. The 30-year-old had been in police custody since July 27 after being nabbed in the Cayman Islands and deported to Jamaica. Members of the public are being advised that Mr. Shaw is considered dangerous. He was a person of interest in several shootings and murders across St. Catherine and was also listed as wanted in both divisions of the parish. The police are urging persons to immediately notify them if Mr. Shaw is seen and to be mindful that it is an offense to harbor a fugitive. King's Counsel Peter Champagne has questioned security arrangements at the Kingston Central Police lockup after Mr. Shaw's escaped custody overnight. Mr. Champagne, who represented Mr. Shaw on Wednesday in the Kingston and St. Andrew Parish Court, said he thought adequate security measures would have been in place for his client, considering he had only recently been apprehended in Cayman and brought back to Jamaica. Insisting that his client's escape has come as a complete shock, the attorney added that he is looking forward to intense investigation into the matter. He further suggested he would no longer represent Mr. Shaw, noting that he does not countenance this kind of action on the part of any client, and his practice has always been to advise the person seeks alternative or different representation going forward. The attorney said someone should be held accountable for the escape, as a repeat cannot be allowed to occur. He added that there is need for a review of the security measures at the lockup. Mr. Shaw is accused of murdering 59-year-old Winfred Strait O'Connor and Clinton Wani Davis 60, both of St. John's Road addresses in St. Catherine. He was scheduled to reappear in court on November 17.
No, I have not heard from him. And may I say that I am surprised that this has happened, given the history with Mr. Shaw, in light of the fact that he fled the island before, was apprehended in the Cayman Islands and brought back here. I suspect, and I would encourage, the highest level of police investigation into this matter. And insofar as I am concerned and representation goes for Mr. Shaw, my practice is that once something like this happens, especially in the circumstances where it's a second kind of situation, my practice is not to offer any representation going forward. And once a client violates the sanctity of the court, either by not turning up when he's on bail or either deliberately taking himself out of custody, that representation in that regard must be revisited unless there is some reasonable excuse, and I can't fathom any excuses on this occasion. It is not to be supported in any way. It is wrong, and I am at a loss as to why this would happen, because I do believe that notwithstanding the number of charges that were against Mr. Shaw, there was a good case for him in terms of viability and success.
Several illegal structures destroyed in a section of Bernard Lodge. Several illegal structures on the so-called captured land adjacent to the Clifton community in Bernard Lodge, St. Catherine, were demolished on Thursday at the start of a removal exercise by the government. This in the wake of reports that criminals pretending to be landowners sold lots to some unsuspecting citizens. In light of the link to criminals, police and soldiers were deployed to the area to ensure the safety of workmen. Prime Minister Andrew Holness has stated that legislative property owner SCJ Holding has issued cease desist notices. Yesterday's demolition focused on unfinished buildings. Other buildings that have been completed and are occupied will be taken down at a later stage following discussions with the residents. However, some residents claim that they were unaware of the exercise and had lamented that they had already spent thousands of dollars building their homes. These residents reportedly had no official title to the property, only receipt they got from the alleged seller. Member of Parliament for St. Catherine South Jackson visited the site and spoke with some residents who expressed concern about their homes being demolished and showed him documentation indicating their right to occupy.
I'm aware that persons have seized lands belonging to SCJ and have been illegally selling them. SCJ told me that they have this challenge and they are engaging. Truth of the matter, it has taken quite a long time because, as you know, as MP we make representation and the agencies of the state is the one who act. Like this morning I was told that some of the persons slated for demolition are in possession of letters of possession. What I've been told by SCJ is that outside of the areas being formalized, there are persons who have seized SCJ lands and have been selling them, and persons subsequently have been building on them. That, of course, that kind of activity is not anything that I would condone. Persons who approach me and say that they have bought lands, and one and two persons, I ask them from whom, they can't tell me or are afraid to tell me who they paid money to. That I have no control over. And SCJ would have to deal with those persons.
Concerns raised over RGD's refusal to accept copies of death certificates. President of the National Association of Certified Embalmers and Funeral Director Colin Lane is raising concern about a move by the Registrar General Department concerning the issuance of death certificates. The long-standing funeral director, who is based in Manchester, has revealed that the RGD is refusing to accept copies of death certificates issued by medical doctors from relatives of the deceased. He noted that previously, this practice of accepting copies of death certificates was allowed, and this would facilitate the processing of the application for cremation. He says this also allows next of kin to apply for insurance funds. Mr. Lin contends that this decision by the RGD to not accept photocopies of birth certificates is a source of major frustration. Colin Lin is also of the view that delays in obtaining the necessary documentation from the RGD poses health implications for morticians who need to know the cause of death to enable them to safely treat the bodies. Mr. Lin says his association is demanding further clarity and is hoping for an amicable solution of this issue. FID given OK to appeal Reed Pinnock's stay order. The Financial Investigations Division FID has received the green light to appeal a Supreme Court judge's refusal to set aside an order that had stayed the multi-million-dollar fraud trial of former Education Minister Will Reed and his co-accused in the parish court. The Supreme Court on Friday gave FID permission to appeal the decision of Judge Andrea Pettigrew Collins, who had ruled that she had no authority to overturn or overrule the decision of her colleague, Justice Courtney Day, who had stayed the trial. The FID was also granted an extension for filing its application. Former Caribbean Maritime University CMU President Fritz Pinnock, Reed's wife, Sharon, and their daughter, Cheryl, and Counsel Kimber and Lawrence of the Brownstone Division are also on trial in Kingston and St. Andrew Parish Court. However, Justice Day had stalled the trial in June 2021 after Reed and Pinnock had sought leave judicial review of Chief Parish Judge Chester Cook's decision that the case proceed to trial. However, the FID, which is prosecuting the matter, challenges the judge's decision, asking that the order be varied or set aside. But Justice Pettigrew Collins, in throwing out the application, indicated that it would be nonsensical to do so to finance the progress of criminal prosecution, as it was possible for a finding to be made that all orders by crooks were invalid and the matter would have to stay afresh. In the meantime, the criminal aspect of the case will be mentioned in the parish court on October 3rd. The matter was postponed in July for the court to be updated on the outcome of the application for leave to apply for judicial review, as well as the date for the judicial review with respect to Cook's decision. Reid and Pinnock had taken issue with the judge's decision in the parish court after Cook's recused himself for the trial, stating that there was a possible conflict of interest. He later revealed that he had attended Monroe College while Reid was head boy. The accused were arrested and charged in 2019 for allegedly diverting public funds from the Ministry of Education and CMU. Cook shop operator murdered in Hanover. A cook shop operator was shot and killed at his restaurant in Great River, Hanover on Saturday morning. The incident happened around 6 o'clock. It is reported that operator known as Spider was in the process of preparing meals for his customers when he was attacked. He succumbed to his injuries. The incident is being probed by the police. Cops making headway in Ruby's Cashier murder. The police are reporting close to making a breakthrough into the killing of Ruby's gas station cashier, who was found at her home at Freehill in Bamboo St. Anne on Monday morning. Anissa Rose, 24, was believed to have been murdered between 4 p.m. on Sunday and 1:30 p.m. Monday when her body was found. Superintendent David White, the acting head of the St. Anne Division, told reporters that the police are making progress with their probe. The investigations are still continuing, but we are very close to making a breakthrough, Superintendent White reported. He added that he, however, cannot divulge much because of the sensitive stage which the probe is at. It was reported that about 4 p.m. on Sunday, residents reported to heard the now deceased and someone quarreling inside her house. However, checks were not made until about 1:30 p.m. on Monday when residents found her body. Police said when they arrived at Rose's residence, her lifeless body was found clad in a yellow blouse and blue shorts and was barefooted, with her hands bound and her throat slashed. Body was seen on its right side in bushes in her yard, the police said. 2 shot and injured at Mandeville party. 2 men have been hospitalized following a drive-by shooting at the entrance of a party on Ward Avenue in Mandeville on Saturday morning. A police report said about 2:15 a.m., the men who were patrons at a nightclub and lounge were shot by gunmen traveling in a motor car. The injured men were rushed to hospital, where they have since been admitted. Statistics from the police show that up to September 24, Manchester recorded 33 shooting incidents since the start of the year, when compared to 23 for the corresponding period last year. Suspected suicide on back road in Portmore. The police in Portmore, St. Catherine, are probing a case of suspected suicide. The body of a man identified only as Omar was found hanging by his belt at a section of an abandoned premises along Fort Augustus Drive. Residents say he was living on the location for some time and claim that he had a history of mental illness. 16-year-old girl among 13 people charged during police operation in Ocho Rios. A 16-year-old girl is among 13 people who were arrested and charged during police operation in Ocho Rios, St. Anne on September 30. The teen, who is from St. Mary, has been charged for indecent language. The other 12 accused, 11 of whom are from St. Anne, have been charged for possession of an offensive weapon, robbery, illegal vending, and smoking in a public space. Reports are that between 10 and 3 p.m., a public order operation was carried out in the town, which resulted in the seizure of 6 offensive weapons, a quantity of ganja, and a quantity of gun provisions including 3 dozen coconuts and 18 pounds of yam. The police say 4 stores and 2 handcarts were also destroyed during the operation. Belgian brothers remembered as destined for greatness. The New Testament Church of God Convention Center in Rhodespen, Old Harbour, St. Catherine, was transformed into a sea of sad faces on Saturday for the funeral of brothers Tavares and Tavan Belgian. While being a sad occasion, the praise and worship that erupted believed that fact. Bishop Will Robinson set the pace for the proceeding when he told the Lord's Wrong that is not a funeral, it is a Thanksgiving service, as he pointed to Job, who lost all his children and chose to worship instead of mourning. The brothers last Mount John in Martha's Vineyard in the United States. Stating that there is no understanding what happened, Robinson invited the audience to worship and praise God in the midst of loss and bereavement. Bishop Orville Plummer, in giving tribute on behalf of the New Testament Church of God, Jamaica, described the brothers as a model of what Jamaican men should be: godly, civic-minded, upstanding young men, jovial, respectful, law-abiding, purposeful, and destined for greatness. The brothers were lauded for their church involvement at Palmer's Cross, Clarendon, as they played active roles in several ministries, such as Sunday School, choir music expansion. The brothers made headlines on Sunday, August 14, when they jumped from the American Legion Memorial Bridge, more popularly known as John's Bridge, in Martha's Vineyard, got into difficulties and drowned. The brothers will be interim at D-side Trelawney, following a second Thanksgiving service on Tuesday, October 4, at the Hazen Baptist Church in D-side.
Please remember to subscribe, like, share, and click the notification bell.